Well, happy Pride again. It's turning out to be quite a month, even though we've got nothing in London. The people coming on to support Pride have been amazing, and today's guest is no exception. She's shot to fame in Britain's Got Talent. She's everyone's funny girl, and we all adore it. It's Siobhan Phillips. Let's listen to a little bit of one of her songs, first of all, and then I'll introduce you to her.
LGBTQ, I've always loved you. Shine those sequins, bang your drums, sing with pride, twerk your bum. LGBTQ, COVID-19's a tool. Some prides are cancelled, but fear not. Next year we'll show the world just what we've got. LGBTQ, I love you.
God, everyone loves you. You're just so camp, aren't you? Siobhan, welcome.
Welcome. I've been called worse. I suppose I am a bit camp, really.
Of course you are the ultimate.
Campus Christmas.
You are the ultimate campus Christmas. Listen, we've got. I was so sad. We've got Pride cancelled in London and Brighton
and Leeds.
I know you as Leeds cancelled as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen pictures of you. Listen, well, obviously you're a big ally of the LGBT community. What does Pride mean to you, and all your gay fans you have?
For me, Pride's been a part of my life since I've been a young kid, really. So I've been going to Pride in Leeds since I was about 17 years old, because I've always had a lot of gay friends, because obviously in show business, I seem to collect them, but it's been brilliant because it's opened up a whole new world for me. And the word pride itself, to me, it's a good word. It's a positive word. And it's about being true to yourself and having a bit of integrity and just being yourself, basically, and standing up for who you are.
Did you grow up around gay people?
I did, yes, I did, which I'm 44 now.
Are you?
So I think, yeah, I'm just that would have been delayed then. You should have gone, wow, I don't believe that. But yes, I did, because when I was at school, I had a couple of guys that I was always in the music room at school. And one of my friends, Danny, he came out to me before he came out to anybody. I think he must have only been about 15 at the time. Yeah. So it's never been anything that's been strange to me. I've been lucky because I've been around gay people all my life. So it's not anything different for me, which is why I like to educate people that maybe are not as comfortable with the gay scene as I am, because to be quite honest, it's just a fabulous scene to be involved with, and the people are so loyal, and the fan base is so loyal, and just so encouraging.
I mean, do you still come across? I mean, you work in the arts. Do you still come across people that are not comfortable among LGBTQ people?
Sometimes, because with the place I'm from, it's very much it's like an ex-mining place, and I'm not talking about the younger generation. I'm talking about some of the older generation. Yeah. And some of the things that they say, I don't think they mean to be offensive, but they by accident will say something that's completely inappropriate. And I'm not in any means, I'm not from the woke brigade, and I don't like censorship. I like people to speak freely, but sometimes there'll be just the odd comment that you say, no, that's not really it's not acceptable in this day and age. And it's just because I'm from where I'm from, I do think that there is still a few stigmas and a few, even the job that I do. I mean, it's not usual doing the job that I do and living where I live. So I suppose I've always been a kind of person that stepped outside the box that people try and put me into.
How's lockdown been for you?
It's been, to be quite honest, I've really enjoyed it. This is going to sound crazy. At first, I hated it like everybody else. But as it went on, I realised that I need a lot less in life than I thought I did. And I'm talking about money, because obviously I've hardly earned a penny. But I think because we were doing things, we weren't going out much. We were just concentrating on the home. And obviously I've got my little girl and I've got my partner. And I just think it gave me that breathing space that I needed, because there's been so much that I've not processed since BGT. And it gave me I was disappointed at first because the tour had to be put on hold, which was the whole reason for going on BGT, was to do a tour where people were coming to see me personally. But once I got over the disappointment, I started just finding different things to do that I've not had time to do.
You once were described as the female Peter Kay, and you said you saw yourself on television, you thought you had eaten him.
It were awful. I hated seeing myself because I think we all lie to ourselves sometimes. And when I did BGT, I thought, oh my Lord, I mean, never mind a G-string, I wear G-ropes. Now it's just ridiculous. I mean, I saw myself, and you don't see yourself like you think you look. So I think I've been avoiding the issue for quite a long time. And it's not that I want to be like this skinny supermodel. It's just the fact that I want to be healthier. Yeah. But the problem with lockdown is it's come and gone. So we've had 3 lockdowns. So I've been fat, thin, and I'm fat again.
But listen, we're going to ask you the question. When did you first realise you were funny?
I don't even think I'm funny. I just think I'm me. I think it's strange because as a kid, I was really studious and quite quiet and a bit shy. And when I started doing the singing, I soon realised that I'd have to be a bit more savvy if I wanted to get their attention, because we're talking about working men's clubs with a load of miners in there that have just done a shift, and they're all reading the newspapers and smoking, and because back then you could smoke, and you know, they want to play bingo, they're not interested in me. And so I quickly realised that I'd have to develop some sort of patter in between, and I started getting laughs. But as a young girl, I don't think you get as many laughs because you've not had as much, you've not lived as much, you've not had as much experience in life. And I was really slim and good looking back then, and I bet they thought, who's this, what's she talking about? So I feel like the older I've got and the wider I've got, the more I've got to say, and the funnier that people find me.
Comedians and performers I've met started in the Working Men's Club and all said the same thing. They were waiting for the stripper to come on and booing them off. But yeah, grounding for them. And now they haven't got that grounding, have they?
No, I feel sorry for kids these days that do want a career in entertainment, because they see the X Factor and BGT and things like that as the holy grail, and they go on there and they say, oh, I've wanted this all my life. And you're thinking, well, you're only 12, what's up with you? Get a life. But they've got nowhere to go with it after this. So it's kind of a catch-22, and those shows are not for the faint-hearted. I mean, I was 42 when I did BGT, and I feel like the younger kids that are doing The Voice Kids, in their heads, I know what I was like as a child. You think that being on television guarantees fame, and it doesn't. The hard work starts once you've had your bit of exposure. It's up to you what you do with it, because it's like a circus. It comes into town, you go on there, you're the flavour of the month, you're in that ring top, and then the circus rolls out of town once it stops filming, and you're basically left to fend for yourself and to find your own way.
I mean, would you let your daughter go on the Young Voice or one of the talent shows at a young age?
I couldn't tell her not to, because she knows she understands that I've been on that kind of thing. But I wouldn't be encouraging her either, because the hobbies that she has, dance is showbiz, but she does hip hop dance. She's not ballet tap. It's for fun. It's because I want her to have a break from the academia, because she's really bright as well at school. I wouldn't necessarily encourage her into show business if I'm being honest, because now, as we've just said, the opportunities are less and less. When I was only 16, 17, I could earn a really good living. And I was still doing my A-levels at school, and I was going to school in a really nice car. Some of the teachers really went off me. And there were Mr. Murter in his little Skoda thing that had a door hanging off, and there were me going in my new Citroen. And you could earn a good living back then doing clubs, but I just don't think that there's not that culture anymore.
When you were younger, what was your favourite female comedians? Who inspired you?
When I was younger, Marty Kane was on television a lot. So she used to present New Faces, and I was only a child at that point. And I remember being so glamorous, but being really funny with it as well. Really, so she inspired me. But and I loved, when I used to do the clubs and I was just primarily a singer, I would do a first spot, and then there'd be a comedian in the middle, and then I'd go on at the end. And we had a couple of really good female comedians. One of them was Chrissy Rock. I don't know if you know Chrissy Rock. She's a Liverpudlian. And she really inspired me as a kid, watching this woman with all this confidence and bluster. And back then she was a bigger lady, and she went up there and she had them all in the palm of her hand. And I'd never seen anybody as funny. So she inspired me. And nowadays, I like Meet the Richardsons, and I love Lucy Beaumont. I don't know if you're aware of Lucy. She's from Hull. No, and she's really funny. And the thing that's different about Lucy is she's not playing a character. She's being herself, because a lot of my favourites, like Catherine Tate, Caroline Aherne, they had to, in order to get onto television, they had to play a character, whereas a man can go and do his stand-up. He doesn't have to be a character, whereas women had to put on characters because I think the execs were a little bit small-minded when it came to female comedy. So now I think it's going full circle, and the younger comedians are actually just doing stand-up again now, and they're not having to be anybody but themselves, which is quite encouraging.
Yeah, probably like Joan Rivers and America.
Oh, I love Joan Rivers. Yeah.
Yeah, just about get it. I actually got away with some of it. Now I want to really know your relationship with Peppa Pig. How is it these days?
It's brilliant because she hates her now. She don't watch her anymore. Mummy, Peppa Pig is too young for me now. But then there's a whole new can of worms. She's into this thing called Ryan's World. And this kid is an American, and he must be worth $22 million. And she's saying, Mum, Ryan's parents are so fun. They're always playing games with him. I'm saying, yeah, because they've got $22 million in bank. They can afford to sit around playing games all day. That's what they make the money from. So she needs to get into something that I actually like now, because it just goes from Peppa Pig to Ryan's World. There's all sorts of other rubbish that she watches.
You're spending quite a bit of time down in London these days. What's the difference for you between up north and down south?
Well, if you speak to somebody down in London, they like go and get a straitjacket and try and have you sectioned. They look really suspicious. I mean, size of me as well. They probably think, oh, she's going to mug me because she's got a northern accent. I just find, but I'll tell you something, when you do get to know somebody that's from the south, they are fantastic people, but they're just a bit more reserved sometimes. They're just, because they are used to living in a big city and not having any time to breathe. So they rush about. But I always like to speak to people, and I like finding out about people because I think they're really interesting. Whereas me, I'm a bit boring, but I love getting people's life stories. Just not when I'm in a rush. How come they always talk to you when you're in a rush?
You do that on the tube in London, start getting someone's life story.
I got it the other day. I were in a rush and I got two people telling me the life stories, and they were really good stories actually. But I just had to sort of rush them along a bit. But I do like people. Is it a philanthropist?
Not quite sure.
Philanthropist. I'm always philanthropist, me. You know what I mean?
As a comedian, are you worried about the cancel me society? That you say something wrong as a comedian, then people call for you to be get her off, or have we gone too far with the cancel me society type thing?
Far too far. It really, really, really. It's almost like people are just sitting there waiting for something to be offended by. I feel sorry for those people because they're not living life. They're not living the life at all. I wouldn't really want to meet them at a party, would you? Yeah. Can't imagine going to a party with somebody like that, because why would you go? Right, so there's lots of things I agree with, there's lots of things I don't agree with. But if I don't agree with somebody, I just won't say anything. If you've nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I do think like now it just makes you want to say more shocking things because you are aware that there's going to be somebody pouncing on it. It's gone too far. It really has gone too far. Comedy has never been about changing the world. We're not politicians. We're just people that like to make people forget about the troubles for an hour, come to the show, have a good time. It's not about being political. And so as long as you say things that they come from a good place and they're not from a nasty place, that there's a difference, because I know like some people can be a bit acerbic just to cause a reaction. Well, I'm not like that, but I will. If I've offended somebody, then tough.
You've offended someone, it's been a good night.
Exactly. It's like, you know, you just you grow up, pull your pants up and get on with it. It's stupid.
Americans love our comedy, but they think it's Benny Hill and Are You Being Served?
Yeah. I know.
They just love it, and things like probably Little Britain wouldn't get made now. Now listen.
Yeah, but now it wouldn't, and I don't think. Yeah, there's so many of my favourite comedies that would not get made now. So I feel like we should be pushing them out there for all the kids to watch, and then we can desensitize them to things. I don't think for what, and you know what annoyed me, right? One of my favourite comedians, Lee Francis, when he apologised publicly for his Bo Selector sketches. And to me, that's he was always an irreverent comedian, but by then apologising. I mean, it's not, that says to me then that he's putting himself in the firing line because he's saying, oh, well, I did intend to upset people, but I don't think he ever did. I just think he was off the wall and a bit crazy. And I really felt a bit upset when he had to, because that was my youth ball selector. I used to absolutely love it. And then he sort of just kind of brushed it all under the carpet and said, oh, I'm sorry about that.
He should apologise for his movie, though. What movies ever made, but anyway, listen. I know you're happily married now, but what's the best?
Oh, we're not married. We're not married. We've been together 6 years now. But no, I've got. If you liked it, you should have put a ring on it. So I've got a diamond. I like diamonds, but I'm not fussed for getting married because it's an institution, and I'll probably end up in one of them at some point anyway. I'm not bothered.
What was your favourite date you've ever been on, and the worst date you've ever been on?
The worst day, I mean, I had to sift through a few in my mind, but one of them, right, so I met this guy in our 20s, me and my best friend. We used to go down to this local pub, and they actually called it The Village, which is really like wild, isn't it? The Village. Let's think of a pub we can call, what should we call it? The Village. So we used to go down there on a Monday night, and there was this lad, and he always fancied me because he's only human. And he had a bit of a funny chin, but I mean, I'm not bothered. I mean, I'm not one of these that likes perfection because it's different personalities that attract you. But I reckon it was the wine that attracted me a bit more. I think I'd had a bit too much, and he'd been asking me out for ages, and so he just beat me into submission, and I said, "All right, then, Ian." Oh, I've said his name. Right, don't say. So anyway, George, that was his name, George. So I said, "Go on then." So he said, "I'll pick you up tomorrow." Well, I'm not a snob. He turned up in this Ford Orion. Now, do you remember them, Stephen? We're going back. Right. Orion. They don't make them anymore. And it had all sorts hanging off it. I mean, I have nowadays, but it had I could hear him before he pulled up. Something were dragging on the floor. So he picked me up and I thought, well, we'll forgive him. He's obviously not got any money. Gets in the car. He's saying, right, we're going to have to go at a certain speed because if I slow down, we'll have to get out and push it. I thought, I'm not pushing it. We're not with these nails. So then I said, where are we going? He goes, oh, I'm taking you to meet my sister. First date, he took me to his sister's. I was sat at his sister's, and then I didn't have any kids. I didn't like kids, to be honest. I want maternal. And kids were sitting on my knee and calling me Auntie Siobhan. And we'd not bloody been anywhere. He just took me to his sister's, and she's like, oh, he's been talking about you. He's been talking about you for months. Wow, stalker, get me out of there. So I just, well, anyway, that didn't go very far, let me tell you. So that was a really bad date. And then another bad date, right? I met this guy in Blackpool. He said, oh, I'm a singer, come to one of my gigs. Well, I went to one of his gigs and he had a funny hat on and he had all these instruments, like a tambourine, and all these old women followed him about. He was a bit like Daniel O'Donnell, where he gets all them old women following him. And I just found it awful because they all were doing knitting and they looked at me right suspicious when I came in because they knew that he'd invited me and they all wanted to marry him. And he kept putting his hat on backwards and then playing these funny like instruments. So I went to the toilet and I never went back. I just did a runner. It was a bit odd. He was a bit like Mr. Tumbles. Do you know what I mean? I just thought, no, I don't like you. You're not for me. Next.
What have you got coming up? You're starting back on your tour again, aren't you?
Yeah, that's starting again at the end of August. I've got a few little things in the pipeline which I don't know if they're going to come off, so I don't want to jinx them. But there's a little bit of acting because I've always wanted to be, well, I'm a bit of an actress really at best of times, but I've always fancied doing a bit of that. So there might be a couple of little bits and bats coming up. But the tour is the main thing because I just want to get back to doing what I love.
Where's the tour kicking off?
Stockport. Oh. Stockport, yes, yeah, very, very beautiful part of the world.
How many are you going to?
Oh, there's loads. It goes right into next year. So if anybody wants to have a look on the website, it's siobhanphillips.co.uk, which is not easy to spell. So you might get a funny few websites popping up before you actually get to mine. But yeah, everything's on there. All the details of all the dates are on there.
Fantastic. Listen, I'm going to ask you, have you got a message for all your gay fans of Pride this month?
Try and just cheer up a bit. Have your own Pride. Do it in back garden. That's what I'm going to do. Just keep being fabulous and just keep just keep fighting and keep believing, and just let's all just have a big party, shall we? Shall we all we could just do like a little one.
Yeah, I mean, there are some prides going on. Worthing, I think, still going on. Eastbourne, just not.
Bradford's going ahead.
Yeah. You can invite the pussy from next door into your garden for a bit of pride. It's been lovely having you on. Thank you so much.
Lovely to talk to you.